The nostalgic experts at Digital Eclipse try and do justice to one of the most popular TV shows of the 90s, with mixed results. The influence of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge must be studied. I say this because ever since Tribute Games' turtle-tastic throwback to the days when the Reptilian brothers ruled the 16-beat 'em up Roost released, a whole jamboree of nostalgic TV shows have received the side-scrolling treatment. The latest in this long line is none other than Power Rangers, specifically the original Mighty Morphin incarnation from the 90s, looking to serve as an affectionate tribute to when these plucky 5 teenagers with attitude kicked butt back on the Sega Mega Drive and Super Nintendo. Sadly, for as great as Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Rita's Rewind looks in motion, it lacks the level of variety and combat depth to make you want to repeatedly run through the already short campaign. As a package, it's perfectly fine and functional, but irksome considering the untapped potential here. First things first, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Rita's Rewind makes no bones about being a time travel story wherein the robofied version of Rita Repulsa from last year's Once and Always anniversary special jumps back in time to team up with the earlier version of herself to try and defeat the Power Rangers for good. As a premise, it's corny to say the least, but exactly the kind of campy concept you'd expect to see from a children's TV show that also saw 5 multicolored superheroes battle giant pigs and floating skeletons. Story is never what you jump into a game of this type for, true, but I quickly appreciated the clean slate approach the premise allows for, considering that Robo Rita jumps back in time before the Power Rangers ever existed, a fact which causes Zordon to recruit the team early. The original team, featuring Jason, Billy, Zach, Trini and Kimberly, are all here in full force, depicted beautifully both in and out of their suits in what is undeniably a great looking pixelated art style. The traditional 2D graphics are complemented by cinematic 3D sequences that truly build a lot of hype before a big fight prevents itself, both when all 5 Zords are running alongside each other separately, or you do battle with an oversized enemy as one combined unit. Purely in terms of its presentation, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Rita's Rewind is a very difficult game to fault. It's when it comes down to the gameplay that Digital Eclipse's tribute sadly lets itself down, because whereas other recent beat-em-up throwbacks have imbued their playable characters with a lot of variety through the likes of unique stats, differing super moves and distinct weapons, none of the Rangers included here boast any of that. Instead, for the most part, all 6 playable characters are quite literally colour swaps for one another, with barely any attempt being made to differentiate them. True, in addition to standard hits, jumps and dodging, all of which play out the same outside of animations, each Ranger has a super move specific to them, but regardless of whether Zack solidifies on-screen enemies in ice or Trini summons whirlwinds, all play out as an AoE attack that achieves the same ultimate effect. Unfortunately, the same is true for the aforementioned Zord and on-road sequences, almost all of which have a tendency to outstay their welcome just that little bit too much, at least for my liking. Digital Eclipse has clearly tried to introduce some much needed variety to standard side-scrolling proceedings by sprinkling them in every so often, yet even then it seems odd to rely on other modes of play, when what you're jumping into Rita's Rewind for is a satisfying beat-em-up. If only there was the slight hint of subtle RPG mechanics, such as the ability to improve each Ranger's health, alter the nature of their super move, and so on. None of this exists in the game currently, despite coins being one of various pickups, and it's disappointing. For as superficial and simple as the act of playing Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Rita's Rewind might be, however, in the Easter egg department, Digital Eclipse has done a solid job. Every level is littered with secrets to hunt down and find, whether it be in the form of side characters from the show that can be found back at your juice bar hub, or mementos that reference a specific item or object from a classic episode. As far as love letters to those initial first 3 seasons of the show goes, Rita's Rewind pays solid respect with countless winks and nods to familiar iconography. It's just a shame that this same attention to detail can't be found in the combat, but this is somewhat made up for by 6-player co-op support on all platforms aside from PlayStation anyway. Overall, Rita's Rewind isn't a bad beat-em-up, but it is one rife with untapped potential. Hopefully, as the months roll on and as further surprises are potentially rolled out as DLC, this trip down memory lane will transform into the worthwhile nostalgia trip that fans of the classic TV show deserve. Right now though, what's here is a simple side-scroller that looks and sounds absolutely marvellous and is fun enough in the moment, providing you don't mind the lack of progression, poor combat variety, and the absence of a solid reason to want to take down Robo Rita multiple times. We at Mirror Gaming give Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Rita's Rewind a 3 out of 5. Let us know in the comments below whether or not you still plan on checking this one out, and consider subscribing to the Mirror Gaming YouTube channel to stay up to date with even more videos like this. Until next time, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.